Welcome back, smart investors. We got some ground to cover today, and I'm going to dive right into the middle of the clump. Let me tell you, where some people see a chaotic battle for playoff seeding, I see an ocean of deals ready to be snatched up for rock bottom prices. But hold up, which team do I buy? How much? Help! I don't want to lose my shirt. Well, that's a deeply personal question that only you can answer. You have to ask yourself, which team do you truly believe in? FlyQuest. So if you're not the gambling type, you want to have restful nights instead of anxiously pacing, worrying about your portfolio at 2 a.m., Cloud9 is the way to go. Once they get past Liquid, they've got the second easiest schedule, and that 9-game winning streak looks mighty fine on any balance sheet. And you know what they say, buy high and sell higher, baby. But you say, Uncle Rick, what if we don't have a lot of money? But we have a lot of faith. Well, let me tell you, then you're going to want to give CLG a look-see, easiest schedule in the final weeks, and plenty of room for that stock price to climb. Those are the few of the teams that I have my eye on. So happy trails out there, partners, and I'll catch you further down the road.
And with that advice fresh in our minds, let's see what you have planned as we enter the penultimate window for the LCS stock market. Again, here's a refresher on the current stock prices, their net change from 2 weeks ago, and of course, all of your portfolio changes over there on the right side. Looks like Kobe, with that pickup on the 12 clutch gaming stocks over the last 2 weeks, actually came out ahead in terms of his net change. Hi, you're looking pretty, though, at the top of the table with the absolute most money in your pocket. How does that feel?
I'm not surprised, to be honest. I look at the list. I'm at the top. Mark is at the bottom.
Right.
That's about what you expect, right?
So I just got screwed the first week because I've actually made money both previous buy sessions. I just haven't made enough to make up my mistake.
You're below starting, though.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I lost
money.
a lot.
That's how bad his first 2 weeks were, Crumbs.
Golden
He's
Guardians
still in
killed
the
me.
hole, still in the hole. All right, well, those were the latest results. Let's go ahead and take a look at some portfolios, or rather the league overview and a timeline chart. This is the change in value for all of the teams across the weeks.
Yeah, it's C9 and TL getting dangerously close together, which makes the matchup today, if you're able to predict this one right, you'll probably see pretty huge gains for if you took Team Liquid or C9 stock.
Yeah, no surprise, of course, that the top 3 teams are the top 3 priced teams on the list, but I think what's interesting is looking at the clump, because there is still separation. While a lot of those teams are tied standings-wise, their stock price is slightly varied, and by that logic, Optic Gaming is actually sitting as the 4th team in the league.
Yeah, and I think that makes it a little hard for people to want to go in on them, especially since I think they have a pretty hard schedule remaining. Yeah. So I think you'll probably want to stay away from them as slightly probably overvalued.
All right, well, you're the last person whose advice I'm going to take, Mark, in this game. Let's take a look at High's portfolio. He's the current front runner in the stock market. Break it down for me.
Right, so I'm at the top right now, so I didn't really feel a big necessary change needed for my portfolio. I have Team Liquid and Cloud9. Granted that they're playing each other, I believe for the rest of their games they'll do well and win, so I'll see a value return on that. And I actually have a lot of faith in Clutch Gaming, actually. They're one of the teams I believe will make it to playoffs. So I still kept my 5 stocks in them because they looked really strong in their previous games, despite throwing that perfect game that they had. If they can continue forward playing the way they are, I believe that stock will go up. So I have a lot of money onto them right now.
Yeah, they proved themselves over the last couple weeks, looking to continue to climb. Of course, you still got that one Echo Fox stock.
I'm a fan of Rush, to be honest, on that part.
I believe
he might not be playing, but
Yeah, I was about to say.
But I'm still a fan.
I still like him.
All right, Mark, did you take your own advice here with your portfolio? Let's take a look.
Yeah, I stayed away from
Optic.
Yeah. My big bet this time was FlyQuest. I think they're a little undervalued. Yes, they have joined the clump, but they had a pretty hard schedule with a lot of their losses coming from teams like TL and C9. So I think they'll be able to climb. The concerning thing, as you see that kind of big slump, is if it continues. But I expect them to bounce back. They have 3 pretty easy opponents with Echo Fox, 100 Thieves, and Clutch. The hard one at the end is Team Liquid. And what's interesting about how this works, an extra little bit of nuance, is it matters where the difficult game is.
Right.
Because if they do it after they're climbing and they lose, they'll lose more than if they had lost that difficult game.
If they were to lose it now and then climb with the other 3 games.
It is a risk I'm taking a little bit. I do expect them to lose the TL at the end of the week. But I also have Team Liquid and C9 stock, so hopefully any of these losses to the other teams I'm expecting them to play get kind of netted out.
I like it, though. I like it. You're making some moves here to catch back up in the race for the LCS stock market. Crumbs, of course, you've joined us this week, so you didn't previously have a portfolio. What we did is we handed you essentially the starting amount that all of these guys started with, and you're jumping in here week 7. What'd you do?
That's right. I took Riv's advice, buy high, sell higher. TSM stock, I'm surprised he didn't mention this one. They only have a difficult match against Team Liquid at the end. I'm expecting
And they've already beat Team Liquid.
Exactly. So I'm expecting them to go all the way, basically. So I think that TSM is going to be the biggest stock here. CLG also, the little sleeper. Riv mentioned it. They have a really easy schedule as well. If they can get past Golden Guardians today, they're going to cruise by. And I have to go with Cloud9 as well. Easy schedule. That's really what this stock market is about. I'm much better at this than with my real finances.
So
what are you gonna say?
I almost grabbed TSM, but I went for FlyQuest because I expect both teams to go 3-1. But FlyQuest was about 100 points cheaper, so I wanted to get a little.
Return.
Yeah, I could buy more of them, but it is still a very good investment.
Well, we've seen where you've put your money. Let's see where you put your predictions here for the day. And do they align? No, not quite. We got the CLG call out from Crumbs in game 1.
Oh, wait, there's a mistake. I
mistake.
chose C9 in TLC9.
Oh, we can get that hot swap. Just you wait. But we'll make note of that. I want to talk about the CLG. Of course, you did buy 2 of their stocks.
That's why. Yeah, that's
Updated real
But I think a lot of people are looking at Golden Guardians CLG as 2 teams that in recent weeks have shown some signs of life and even a possibility to push towards those playoff spots. And so a very close matchup, I would say.
Right, and when I think about CLG versus Golden Guardians, the carries on those teams are basically their mid laners. And if you're going to put PowerOfEvil versus Froggen on a hard carry, I believe that Froggen will do that better since historically he's known for that and does it really well. So the edge that GGS has over CLG is just through their mid laner.
And then, of course, you mentioned that second game of the day, split down the middle now, 2 for C9, you and StatsBot defending Team Liquid. Talk to me about that one.
I think, I mean, we kind of covered it, but I think for me, it's that there's so many of the position advantages go to Team Liquid. Yes, they have Licorice to rely on, but I think Impact is still fighting that matchup, knowing that, like, okay, they're going to put a lot of attention at me. Hopefully, take something that scales well, even from behind. And then I think they just win the rest of the map.
Even with the hot streak for C9 recently, it's hard to argue against the team that sits atop the table. With that, 20 seconds to go. We're tossing it out to the Battle Arena to get into the games.
Thank you very much, Dash. Hello and welcome to the Battle Arena. CounterLogic Gaming is facing Golden Guardians here in our first game of the day. There's only a few matches left for each of these teams. We are in a champion select, and the fight for playoff position is here and now. Deals as a top 3 and a bottom 7, and here's these 2 squads at 5 and 7. In the upper clump, the team's a little bit more likely to make playoffs, but they have 6 games to go.
Yeah, neck and neck here. Every game counts so incredibly much for this playoff race. Already, a lot of these very strong solo lane champions we've been seeing put to use split pushing, being banned out by the side of CLG, the Riven, the Jace being banned out. On hit Nico, very popular right now, and one of the most insane split pushing champions. So Golden Guardians also following along here, and all solo lane bans thus far. We'll see what they actually get down to.
Of course, also worth pointing out in this game is CounterLogic Gaming have subbed in Moon and Otto into their lineup. Those of you joining us in Champion Select, both from their Academy rosters. Moon has played a single game of Sejuani earlier on in the split, and Otto did play some last year, but otherwise Academy only until now.
More importantly, Moon has played Shaco in the LCS previously. I asked him about it when he was in makeup earlier today, though, and he was very sad that that will not be the case today. So the dreams have been crushed, but I'm very excited to see him back in the LCS and trying to make some moves. It's definitely one of the Academy players that has had a pretty good transition on and off the LCS stage for many years.
Yeah, I think he's actually a very, very good player. Excited to see him come up as well. CLG have had a good track record of bringing up their Academy players and them doing well. Stixxay won the LCS in his very first split, replacing Doublelift. Those are shoes to fill. It felt like he's been a little bit weaker as of late, but I do have high hopes for Otto here alongside Biofrost, of course, champion himself. As Draven Thresh comes through, that's going to be exciting as well to see how that lane pairs out, and CLG to keep that lane alive. We'll see what the support pick will be.
I was expecting a little bit higher priority on the super early game junglers like Rek'Sai here, but the flex pick of Jarvan has been locked in earlier. People will remember his Jarvan game. He actually did very well into a Jace, which difficult matchup, and he was able to out-CS the Jace actually. So that may just be a top lane Jarvan, but could easily be flexed to the jungle. CLG keeping their options open.
CLG will wait to see where those flex do go, but the option's going to be the LeBlanc mid lane for Froggen. Did not win on the champion, at least most recently. Normally has been better on strict team fighters or poke, but on this champion here to take over some of the game.
And personally, I did think that he was a good LeBlanc, but maybe the team not necessarily accustomed to that style, or the team doesn't really work as well when you have to play differently. You know, LeBlanc looking to clear out wards, find those pickoffs, you know, 100% to zero somebody, then go for the objective or the team fight. Not necessarily their similar strategy we've come to know and love with the late game AP DPS threat, the Victor, the Karthus that have come through for him. So this already looking like a much more aggressive Golden Guardians. They have a Draven Thresh bottom lane looking to bully early on. This is something that we hypothesized would happen more in the LCS as time went on, when everyone's picking Ezreal and just kind of wading through the lane phase. When will teams start to play a little bit earlier, start to try and punish that, go for the domination in lane, get turret plates, get dragons?
Well, definitely an early game domination lineup here for GGS, as you mentioned, bullying out the Ezreal and pushing things up, but that team fight not quite as strong as other comps they might play. So we'll wait to see as the bans come through. Syndra, LeBlanc banned out from PowerOfEvil, Yorick banned away as CLG. We'll have to probably guarantee their actual top laner before we ever see what Hauntzer picks for the top lane. That Jarvan can be flexible, but of course Yorick, one of the better top laners if you know your matchup and you know you're not going to get countered. Yorick can absolutely steamroll some champions. So CLG last ban going to be Lee Sin banning away from Contractz.
Contractz definitely has utilized Lee Sin as well as some of the other early game junglers to camp mid, get Froggen ahead. I think that has been one of their keys to success in these 5 victories, has been Contractz visiting Froggen's lane early. That allows Froggen to completely control his lane, and especially on a champion like LeBlanc, it's a pay-it-forward strategy where the jungler can gank for LeBlanc, then the LeBlanc gets to level 6, you're way more powerful than a jungler going to gank, and so the LeBlanc goes and ganks a different lane to get everybody ahead.
So the Ryze has been locked in, and of course we're going to see where he's going immediately afterwards. They're hovering a Zilean, who could theoretically be a mid laner, and you can put that Ryze as a somewhat blind top laner. We know Aatrox can, of course, jungle, and that would be just fine. I know blind picking Ryze is something that actually Golden Guardians coach Anero said is going to be a very bad idea. Ryze will be going into the mid lane to answer LeBlanc. Sion will be the half-blind top lane pick with Jarvan going jungle, and we wait to see where the Aatrox actually goes. Yeah,
Aatrox very well could be the jungle. It's definitely, I think, a slightly more popular jungle still in professional play. Especially solo queue. We'll see. Kennen is the premier lane bully basically right now. I feel like that is kind of the strategy they're going to go for, but it does mean that Golden Guardians are 100% all in on this earlier focus strategy that we talked about, with the Draven bottom lane trying to bully, with the LeBlanc looking to get control early, then roam around. Now they also have a massive advantage in laning power for the top lane advantage here with the ranged champion. This is going to have to be Golden Guardians setting the tempo and CLG trying to weather the storm, which honestly has been the situation that CLG have been in a lot of their games. They have usually picked more scaling than their opponents have in the particular game and tried to rely on waiting till later, then bringing the tanks through and getting the hard engages off.
Well, it is Darshan on Sion Spartan here, so you expect it to go pretty well. I believe that's still undefeated this season when he's on that champion. Counterlogic Gaming here, 5-7 alongside Golden Guardians. These teams tied for 4th place. Playoffs are absolutely within reach. It is absolutely in the cards for these two squads. We'll see if they can, in fact, achieve this as we get ourselves loaded into the game.
Episode 1 of the game of clumps between 2 upper clump teams. We will see who strikes first. CLG making some bold last-minute switches here as we head into the real thick of the playoff race, bringing in 2 of their academy players. Very excited to see if it pays off.
Yeah, bringing them in late into the season. They had switched Fallen Bandit and Moon around back in weeks 1 and 2, and it was to make sure they knew which teams and which players they wanted to put forward. And then it was 5 straight weeks of the same players, and now very late in, they are switching it back around, and they're going to hope that's the right lineup to go into the postseason. They can make it happen. PoE and Froggen on your screen, and it's time to go into Summoner's Rift. Counter Logic Gaming facing Golden Guardians. Here with 6 games left to play.
All right, some early pings already coming down. Looks like defensive opening for both teams as they spread out. We're going to try and get your early Scuttle Crab wards down to see where these junglers are going. Again, like we were talking about in Champ Select, we expect the early phase to be incredibly important for Golden Guardians and especially Contractz. So we'll see if CLG can get any early information on that Aatrox jungle, because he has so many options. If all the lanes have a possibility of setting up ganks and being very aggressive, it's very important for CLG to try and track the enemy jungler.
And so far we have a lull in the early game, and as we wait for this one to start in earnest, if you want to hear more about the Golden Guardians, Anero joined Kobe, Ezreal, and myself on the dive, where he mentioned that he's not too preoccupied with being involved in the conversation for top teams. So tune into this week's episode to hear more from him about Golden Guardians so far this year.
Yeah, it was pretty interesting. He said that he had strategies for the weaknesses of all the top teams, and he just wanted a crack at them to be able to exploit what he saw was wrong, you know, with TL, C9, TSM. Hopefully, they've also got strategies for CLG, because that is one of the most important games here, trying to get a win and deliver a loss to one of your competitors for the playoff spots.
Yeah, could easily be your quarterfinal opponent as well, based on how you perform. So it could be a very important matchup, and of course, not only make the playoffs, but win your quarterfinal. Certainly in the cards for either of these two teams as they try to shape up in time for what's essentially week 10. As Hauntzer is, of course, starting with that Doran's Blade, trying to get some auto attacks down and dealing some decent damage. Kleptomancy, E-auto-auto will, of course, trigger twice there. And so far, so good. Bullying Sion as you expect in the early game. I am curious what his eventual build will be. Starting Doran's Blade does not mean you're not going to go AP later on. If he goes AP, it means he can team fight and flank to try to pick off that bot lane Ezreal later on in the team fights. But if you go attack damage, your ults aren't very good and you're dedicating to the split push.
Couple of options open. I feel like, especially against Sion, the on-hit can be very effective because it does include percentage health damages with the Blade of the Rune King. But again, if you're trying to end the game through forcing at the objectives and you're not 100% committed to the split push, that's where you see the AP builds come in.
Defensive Ghost Poro is not going to stop Contractz from taking away this blue buff, but that said, both sides are kind of taking each other's jungles regardless, so not all that important otherwise.
Yeah, I mean, so important thing to remember about the Ghost Poro as well.
Oh, he's running with Ignite, the flash! They're gonna get first blood now! Oh man, Deftly to an early start into this game.
Oh my goodness. That is exactly the way you want to start off a Draven game. He cashes in. He actually doesn't cash in that much because it's so early, but he gets the first blood money. It's just a great hook by Olleh right past the cannon minion there, and definitely doesn't hesitate to flash, so they're able to pick up the kill. What a rough start for Otto here coming into the LCS. The support just gets hooked. Not much he can do. He doesn't have heal. It's a teleport Ezreal. Can't do anything to save the Tahm Kench. And now it is going to be checkbox number 1 for this early game composition. Emphatically checked.
Absolutely. And honestly, it does feel like Tahm Kench is one of the better champions to kill. He's actually incredibly level dependent for his tank stats. Doesn't have any active tank skills outside that E. And his flash is down, his exhaust is down. Keep in mind, Otto went teleport. That's the punishment for bringing TP in the bottom lane instead of a combat summoner, is you cannot help your support out. So everything's set up to kill Biofrost. It did happen here, and we'll see if they get another one. Now we fight this top lane side as well, as Darshan getting worn down, below 200 HP actually. This is getting a little bit close. And that will have to be a TP back to lane.
I want to see Contractz start to play aggressively here with the Aatrox. He's going with his first clear, so he's going to reverse clear now the rest of the camps. But with these very powerful lanes we talked about in Champ Select, you want your jungler to utilize that pressure, take away from the enemy jungler, so that not only are CLG's lanes losing, but you also want to try and make their jungle lose because their lanes cannot come support them.
And watch for the jungle camps a bit later on. Right now, I got to point out how rough that recall was for Darshan. He gets just the rejuve bead, which is going to feel pretty bad right there. Hauntzer actually converts his stats back to ability power by buying this, the Hextech Revolver, which it lets him get the damage on the auto attack, but also you have now less attack damage overall because your adaptive stats turn around. I'm not even sure it's necessarily the best lane bully item, but looks like it's going towards
definitely a proto belt. Yeah, definitely
so
going to be the AP Kennen build, AP. So he'll have a bigger impact in these team fights and flanking around. And the Revolver definitely is super valuable for harassment. We'll see about the bottom side of the map, though, because it's a very good movement here from Moon to slip in and grab the Scuttle Crab before the bottom lane returns. And this is something that people should pay attention to a little bit more is recall timings.
Yeah.
During the recall here of this very powerful Draven to go spend that first blood money, get his extra, big VF sword purchase here, you have a small window on the map, a little bit less than 30 seconds to try and do something on the bottom side. You get the Scuttle Crab, you get permanent vision here leading into the dragon, and a little bit of defensive security.
And of course, you talk about that recall timing, having the money for the BF sword in the second Doran's Blade. Of course, it's Kleptomancy here on Draven. Very easy, of course, to stack that up. Q and W, you don't even have a cast animation. You just simply turn them on. You want to auto someone twice anyway, and yeah, it works out pretty well for him. And he's got money, and he's going to, I think, sort of continue to keep trying to cash in right here. Pretty standard overheal plus the attack speed. I really, really do think Futures Market is finally getting the recognition it deserves as well. It helps you guarantee those power spikes. Recall, so you get them a wide hook. He's going to go for the play anyway, but is Draven going to be in range? Well, they've got an Aatrox coming by as well. Jumping in towards Otto. There's no way to save him if they want to dive this. But no, the health bar is high enough. They're afraid of what the turret would do to them. No kill.
And now the health bar for Otto extremely low. That's his last potion he's chugging right now. And the Golden Guardians have so much pressure here on the bottom side. They're going to force him off of this turret. Froggen's even roaming down from the mid lane on this LeBlanc. And the CLG duo have to give up turret plates.
Now, that hook might have looked weird, but it was a prediction, of course, in case Otto wanted to juke all the way around. And it was predictive, not where he went, but it will be turret plates. You're mentioning Kobe. Extra gold coming in. Gonna feel pretty good for Golden Guardians here. Now a smite fight on this side. One. I think it, not in vision. Yep, good job, Moon. There was no way to actually see that for that point in time. Contractz had nowhere to put down, and they got it in fog.
And because the duo actually comes up to support the red buff invade here, they didn't stay around to finish off this turret plate. As you can see, it hasn't fallen yet, still have 5. I do like that though. They're listening to the PSA, come help your jungler when they're making a play, invading for the red buff. PowerOfEvil gets chained.
A little bit of damage, but it is Aftershock Ryze. Very easy to point and click the W when LeBlanc goes in. So not really any damage dealt there. And we'll say, though, gigantic farm lead to Froggen. Even with this picked up, it's still +5 or so CS for the LeBlanc. So this is going pretty well for him. And Golden Guardians on somewhat of a full court press, winning everywhere. 1,500 gold up is a really sizable early game lead.
Remember, this is sort of an expected game state due to champion select. Maybe not this big of a lead with the early first blood, but this is the more early game oriented team. So the faithful should continue to look for later game for CLG, trying to hold out and try and minimize losses. But right now, Golden Guardians fans should be feeling very confident about the opening of this game.
Yeah, I would say I agree with you. It's slightly above expectation, though you do expect a lead of some kind. Now going for an early Mountain Drake. That might pay off later. It might mean a turret plate at the very least. Good damage in from Froggen. Might just take down Moon, indeed. He's gone, but there's a Rune Prison. Good damage for PoE. The Q snipe comes in. Otto finds the trade kill. Gold advantage over to Logic Gaming. Good smite comes through as Golden Guardians will pick up that Drake. But gold to CLG is a positive.
Yeah, CLG happy to get that gold onto Otto specifically. And a red buff on Ezreal is one of the most annoying champs to get it on. Maybe this can go a long ways in correcting for their bottom lane. Moon here's trying to get some vision, puts down his flag, but Froggen lies in wait. And we talked about this as well for Froggen on the LeBlanc. His last game on LeBlanc, he did a pretty good job of finding kills and sniping people. Doesn't do a great job of getting out afterwards, so PowerOfEvil does collapse and allows Otto to come in with the Ezreal, fires off the skill shot, does land it. But meanwhile, the train just keeps on pushing down here for the Golden Guardians. Turret plate number 2 cashed in.
So far, no breaks in the train, and there's not easy ways to slow it down right now either. Moon did try casting his ult during the 1v1 against LeBlanc. Sadly died while in mid-air, so that ult's on cooldown for another minute still. You still see this 500 gold lead in the bottom lane. That's pretty solid. First blood, of course, at this point, most of it, Ezreal keeping up at otherwise. Getting that kill, of course, timing, or getting that a bit closer as well as Lewis goes over to Froggen, and we keep waiting to see what the big play might be later on.
All right, we should check back in on the top lane as well because the Proto Belt's almost done. Stopwatches are starting to come through. Hauntzer spent the early part of the game bullying this matchup, but since he is going the AP build, Darshan has been able to just pick up a cowl. And once you have the cowl on Sion, even with the nerfs, it's fairly easy for him to sustain through a decent amount of this damage. As you said, a lot of Kennen's adaptive stats get converted to AP, and with the health regeneration that gets procced on your cowl every time you also get harassed, It's making it a lot easier now for Darshan to weather the storm. He's kind of maintaining the same 10 CS deficit that's been there since the early aggression.
Yep, Cal, Rejuve, Doran, Shield, the Corrupting Potion out of stacks at the very least, but yeah, almost every single item.
Gets coming in.
Exactly, every single slot except literally the boots is a regen item. So he is withstanding this one, and yeah, I think he's going to have some pretty good scaling on this Sion. He'll be very tanky. He's getting most CS, which is good. He's behind a bit, which you expect, but you need to get last hits to get the health stacks. He's getting that to happen. Here's the Demolish trigger. There's the third plate over in the bottom lane, and just fighting the top lane, Darshan's health bar barely even moves. Hauntzer's might actually drop sooner than this one. Goes for the point blank goal. Trade is here, but suddenly you've got Moon here as well. This could be good. Not gonna land the flash for the knockup. Just out of range, and out goes Hauntzer.
Yeah, that is a rough one here. Here we go, bottom side though. This tower's getting low, and Contractz has access to the ultimate. It's dangerous to dive the Tahm, Kench, Ezreal because they're so mobile, and the Devour really does make it difficult. As we also said, the stopwatches have come in, so Tahm, Kench can use the stopwatch, plus he can devour the Ezreal. It's just so tricky to pull that one off. You'd rather power down the structure instead. Tower, thankfully, can't go invulnerable since fortification has been removed as of 6 years ago.
But look at this. Moon is back on the bottom side of the map. No flash, but we'll have Spike and the ultimate. Gonna find a slow on an auto. Damage into the turret, but he's taking aggro. Gets out with the land, and that forces the teleport out for PowerOfEvil. Now wants him with the realm. They're gonna bring in the squad. Will they find the CC? No, they will not. So a TP and an ult forced out.
Yeah, very good by the Golden Guardians not to overcommit to that tower dive. CLG nicely set up some counterplay there, ready for it. Hauntzer on the top side, though, dealing with this very tanky Sion that has so much regeneration. Very little mana left, though. Can he pull it off?
I don't think he has the damage to kill.
There's flash and a grasp.
There's an auto and an E, but he can't get the rest of this one. So Hauntzer gets to walk away. He'll burn the TP back in.
That's the one thankful thing about seeing the enemy tank, you know, with this full regeneration build. You can very easily calculate the damage output that's going to come through. The only real thing you have to worry about is the grasp procs being a little bit unexpected sometimes, but doesn't go down. Big cash in from the Rift Herald as they give the money over to Ryze for PowerOfEvil.
And that helps bridge the gap a little bit. 300 gold picked up for 2 plates, but the game is still 3,000 apart. Looks like actually Hauntzer will save his teleport. He knows the next Drake spawning in 48 seconds. He wants that global spell available. Protobelt is done for the wave clear. Sork Shoe's in there as well for the team fighting. So he's actually hit the very first Kennen power spike with a stopwatch in there as well. So he's going to feel pretty confident on this one. If he needs to 5-on-5, it'll go okay, as Darshan has adaptive done as well, and he's going to be able to frontline.
And we're about a minute away from the turret plates falling here. The game really does break open once Golden Guardians finish off this bottom turret and get to rotate their bottom lane here, their real point of power across the map. Once they pick up this, setting up for the dragon.
Gonna find a slow, not quite gonna pull back in Biofrost. He goes the right direction. But yeah, that solo turret gold. You saw Olleh stand very far back for 2 reasons. One was to not leech the local gold, so a good 600 went over the Draven, but also to lantern out in case there was a play. It's gonna be the reset first. Golden Guardians, of course, had the money to spend 900 gold in the pockets of Draven. That's spent out right now, so he's ready to go. And we'll see as the Warrior Enchant and Cinderhulk are done for the respective junglers, if that fight will indeed happen soon.
Very interesting that we have double Mountain Drakes as well. If the Golden Guardians can use their early lead to secure this second Mountain Drake, it does give so much more threat to their mid-game, neutral area control. We talked about knocking down the first outer turret. Once they get all 3, it makes it so easy to set up around Baron with that extra threat come 20 minutes.
And that might be something that Golden Guardians needs for the end game. As you mentioned earlier, it's a fairly early game comp, and getting that lead and cashing it in later on is going to be important for the pacing of the game. 4,000 gold separates the squad, so that is very, very large right now. Flag right now knows that the Mountain Drake's not being taken. Golden Guardian still sitting around in this part of the map. As the flag drops, Vision's gone.
That signals that CLG may want to actually contest this one. They don't want to give up the double mountain buff. They've got teleport ready on Darshan. Now, for the top laners, for both of them, you know that they have to back off from each other to be able to get their teleports. You can see Sion rocking down the river. They might actually go for this. Froggen trying to hold them off.
And Moon only knows the Drake is gone. Doesn't the health bar. It's going to be taken without effort at all. Mountain Drake picked up there solidly. Golden Guardian stack another objective.
Yeah, it's too late. And Auto on the Ezreal was way too far away from the fight. Even though they were throwing flags in there, trying to keep vision, not able to delay the Golden Guardians long enough to allow Ezreal to remain close. So no commitment on the contest, and that is the double stacked mountain, ready for true damage later in the game.
Yep. And now that's AP Kennen, of course, top lane has flipped. There is no kill pressure really whatsoever. Darshan will maybe never die the rest of this game. Even if his team loses, he probably ends the game 0-0 in something.
The pressure on top side will have to come from junglers or roaming plays.
Yep.
Meanwhile, in the mid lane, as we talked about, you switch your marksman and your support over to the mid lane to try and hold. Thresh is so good at this because Olleh can go around clear vision with Deftly. He can also step very far back in the lane. Lantern is a lifesaver in almost all of these scenarios. The only thing that's going to stop him is the Ryze Rune Prison, and you kind of can see that one coming.
Okay, pressure's moved now to the mid lane. Of course, with Double Mountain Drake, they kill turrets faster than normal, but actually no, letting the minions go in, doing nothing else with it. They're instead looking for that top side, and I might have spoke too soon about Darshan. This could be a 4v1.
They're even rotating through the jungle here.
Probably just dead. We'll see how he goes. Finds damage in a Hauntzer, puts the ulti on, but will they even dive? Tahm Kench gonna bring a reinforcement, so actually Darshan looks like he's fine.
Oh, they didn't wait in this bush. I thought they're gonna wait in the tri-brush for this face check here. 3 versus 2. Doesn't happen. They should be tracking the teleport, knowing that PowerOfEvil recalled and is back to base with no teleport cooldown.
Oh, Otto, the chain's gonna land. Good flash forward. They're gonna have it. Olleh sentences him to death. Definitely could have taken it himself, but no. Support carry.
I feel like Froggen wrote his death note and he was like, this guy going down, and Olleh's like, what? Did you say death sentence? I got it. Finished off the kill right there. They get the Ezreal. With that off the map, they actually go for the reset here. Froggen down to bottom side, and Moon takes the opportunity.
Dunk onto 2, Realm Warp coming in as well. Olleh a bit low, they're gonna knock him down for 1-0. Darshan gets the kill out of that one, 1-0-0 on the scoreboard.
Well, punish the support for taking the kill there. Olleh does go down in some repentance for taking it, and CLG strike back very quickly. Now, this is a very big advantage for the Golden Guardians currently, but if CLG can continue to make trades like that, even though it is a marksman kill for a support kill, their marksman has teleport, and Otto actually could teleport right back out the lane and gets minions anyways, so those types of gold trades, probably what CLG are looking for, given the game state.
Yeah, any trade feels like it's pretty good for the blue team right here, as we still have a game that has a gold lead, but I don't think is out of reach by any means just yet. Draven, I feel like, is not a great tank killer, and we have Darshan moving towards heavy armor right now. The Chain Vest in, looking at round 2. Nope. Good job by Biofrost. Pulls Otto right back out. And even the spinning axe disappears.
I'd like to take this opportunity to highlight the bounties that we have all stacking up here for the Golden Guardians. And we talk about CLG trying to weather the storm. If they can complete these 3 bounties that we've highlighted, that goes a long way in kind of correcting the gold discrepancy here and funneling some more money into their late game hopes.
Yeah, 550 gold bonus available across those 3 kills, so basically 1 extra kill worth of value. Consistent kills worth 450 normally, of course, and that might help bridge that gap. We'll see as it comes through. This second Mountain Drake, of course, already with Golden Guardians, so these objective rushes get easier and easier over time. Cloud Drake spawning in a minute, exact same time as Baron. And I feel like Golden Guardians could take that Cloud Drake without much issue. This gold lead's still big enough that CLG might not want to be able to fight them back yet.
Yeah, I mean, right now, Golden Guardians kind of trading even with side lanes even. They aren't able to push, as you said, once the AP Kennen heads up against this single MR item Sion on the bottom side. It's not really going to gain you any sort of extra territory on the map, and since they haven't taken the rest of the outers, there's also not a lot of space for the LeBlanc to set up these brush camps. You know, even if you bring your control wards around, CLG have defensive vision already set up. So it's going to be very interesting here. I think we're coming up on one of the breaking points of this game where the dragon's about to spawn, and CLG have been able to sort of stabilize. See if they can actually win this team fight, or if Golden Guardians get to push it ahead.
Well, we'll see. Oblivion Orb is in for Hauntzer as well, so he's got that 33 flat pen in items. And there's only a pair of Merc Treads on anyone not named Darshan, so certainly a low MR team. It's optimal for a flat pen build here, and CLG feeling comfortable, actually. Going to go for this play with Hauntzer on the other side of the map.
And this is an interesting one, because CLG are getting the Cloud Drake. First Cloud Drake I do really like as far as the move speed for this team that wants to make use of some hard engage. However, they're trading it for that top tower. And as you said, there's a very big breaking point once all these outer towers are taken by the Golden Guardians. They get to open up the map for possible LeBlanc surprise kills, and they really get to bring their early game together. We'll see if it does pay off, because in the long term, the Elemental Drake buff is going to be very nice for CLG. But it did seem like Golden Guardians were stalling out a little bit as far as the gold income, and that tower money from top side should be taken into account.
Well, the gold lead, I try to keep mentioning it every once in a while, it's now to 6,000. So that number is still going up over time, even if it's not necessarily obvious where it's coming from. 500 for an outer turret is a little portion of that, but it is still growing over time. And trading a Cloud Drake, I mean, I'd put it at maybe 800 to 1,000 gold worth of stats overall. I think that's roughly accurate. So something to kind of keep in mind there. We'll see if that does matter later.
Vision around the Baron, as we said, is going to be so important since there's a double Mountain Drake team in this game. The early game for Golden Guardians paid off pretty big in that area.
Yeah.
Speaking of your Drake buffs, let's see if they're able to maintain vision. CLG know that they cannot leave this area dark for a second, because even 2 members of the Golden Guardians can take this Baron. If there is Deftly with someone to take the damage, the double Mountain Drakes go so long as far as trying to sneak that thing.
But it does require that play to happen, right? It's sort of an active item in the sense that you have to use it right, or it literally does nothing at all. It's the Zhonyas of Drakes.
It's definitely not going to help you win a team fight.
No, it won't. And that's something to sort of point out as a team fight is beginning now, as Moon is pulled back in. Contractz gonna pick the lantern right back out. But to get to the Mountain Drake point, it actually has the weakest correlation with winning pro games. Statistically, it actually doesn't win you as many games as, say, things like Cloud or Infernal, and there can be reasons why outside of just raw power, but something to keep in mind.
And I think that the reasons are for these specific situations. It's a very specific situation that you need to make use of, or as you're saying, it doesn't passively pay off. Whereas a lot of the other Drakes will passively give you effectiveness in all areas of the game.
So we'll see those active states come in. That's the important thing to watch for then. Do Golden Guardians actually make use of the time they spent knocking those Mountain Drakes down when it could have maybe meant a chance at an invade or a tower dive or some more turret plates earlier on? That's the payoff they're going for here. They chose something that's going to require payoff later. And we will still see Deftly push forward, knock down minions, and keep stacking up his gold. Waiting for that second cash in after first blood at 3 minutes. 23 minutes now, and they are looking at this Baron yet again. 5,500 the lead.
Sneak attempt number 1 has been seen.
Yes. So
I think this ward here on the left wasn't seen quite there by the Golden Guardians when it was placed, and them walking past it gave a little bit of vision, so Otto immediately used his Trinket Ward.
more games in the day, as you can see in the bottom corner, middle, whatever. We'll be casting that one too, Kobe.
Yeah, it comes up right after this. Our battle.
Oh, a battle at the river as well as a quick stopwatch is used. Moon, nice true shot barge over the top. Redemption gets some health back, and there will not be any kills, but 2 ults and a flash now down. Here comes the re-engage for Hauntzer. Finds a single stun. They might try to pile down into Olleh, and the pullback prevents the thick-skinned shield from coming in. A 1-for-0. Golden Guardians get another opening in this game.
All right, the support has been taken off the field. Lots of ultimates used by the Golden Guardians there with the Kennen and Aatrox. Those are 2 of their biggest team fight ultimates, but getting a player off the field means a lot as far as double mounted Drake.
Otto with the Realm Warp. That's a misplay right there. Gonna be a bit painful. Flashes down. Froggen in there as well. Does not land the chain. Jumps back to the team. 5 versus 4 on this fight. PowerOfEvil in the front line. Good damage onto Olleh. Froggen, though, has knocked down Otto.
What a crazy event there, as Baron was doing more DPS to the Golden Guardians the entire time. But Froggen makes it happen on the LeBlanc with some quick moves. Takes down Otto, punishes him for taking that Realm Warp. Here is another look at how this all started. Deftly and Olleh are the ones that are attacked by Moon, and they're put in the Cataclysm, waiting here on the edge. With Redemption coming down, they have Olleh flash out, use the Lantern so Deftly doesn't have to, and then Hauntzer just barely gets the double stun there. They lock in Olleh, and they're able to get that knockup before he can activate his Grey Health.
Yep.
If his Grey Health, he was spamming that button maybe a little bit earlier, might have been able to get it. But then there is no ult on this Aatrox. You see Contractz, his life bar is so
He
low.
tried to arcane shift out, and he was just too late.
So whoopsie.
You saw him, so he had to watch why he didn't flash. He realized he was in that pit. He's like, oh crap, I screwed up, pressed E.
Yeah.
Lost the cast to Realm Warp, and then had to burn Flash, and he had no escape. So that's the worst of all worlds. Burn the escape to get out, and it didn't kind of go through.
CLG took a risk putting in Auto and Moon, and there have been 2 mistakes, pretty big ones. Was the flash, the Jarvan EQ flash miss, not on the top side, not to be able to get that one, and then Auto right here with the Realm Warp. Definitely risky putting players on stage the first time. Sometimes you gotta work out a couple of the kinks, get back in to the rhythm of being on the LCS stage. But right now, Golden Guardian is very happy that one happened because it was very risky play from them as well as they were juggling all the damage from Baron. And Froggen was the one to pull out the moves.
Now PowerOfEvil wants to steal a blue buff away, and in fact, well, that was actually pretty close. 750 for the Q, but it was at 900. And Contractz to the blue buff, not the most useful.
Big passive auto there is always very fun for Aatrox.
Didn't have to burn the smite at least, so I guess he's all right.
Little cooldown reduction goes a long way also. Mana regeneration, obviously not effective.
For the last 10%, yeah, it's going to feel okay for him. And now we can wait to see what the next round will be as a nice knockup is in. And Darshan, by the way, is still invincible. Going to find some damage towards Froggen. Ult comes through, dodging that one, gets the chain. Froggen waiting for his next set of cooldowns, does not have the ult. Auto, the dash, 1 second, and Auto does get revenge. Arcane shifting over the wall. CLG get a big shutdown on a good target.
And now he's got a red buff again. Deftly, in the meantime, though, takes down the turret. Darshan trading one on the top side. Objectives now falling fairly quickly here. This is also, by the way, not going for another tier for Auto. He's got the Vamp Scepter set up here. I believe that will be a Blade of the Rune King. It's kind of late for it. Could be a Mercurial Scimitar, but that would be a lot of magic resist considering his already rushed Hexbringer to deal with the Froggen Burst.
Yep, trying to survive that one. This time didn't need the health, but got the damage. Nice Guardian Shield, I like that by Biofrost.
All right, pushing in the mid lane once again. Definitely here, since the early stages on the Draven, hasn't had another cash in, so he's been stacking up the passive pretty much this whole game. Because his first kill came after, what, 15 CS or something anyways?
Yeah, super early.
And now that he has Infinity Edge, he's got Rapid Fire, there's a lot of crit that can come through. So it could be a very big cash in still in the works for the Golden Guardians.
Auto joins the mid lane, of course, 3 teleports in CLG, all 3 of which are down right now. Map mobility is certainly a tool they have compared to the single one of Hauntzer. And they have continued to stall without their base really dropping. Turret score is 2 to 3. The Drakes that Golden Guardians have are non-combat. Baron is yet to die. This is not really the end of the world. CLG able to, so far, just sit there and wait through an early game team. Now, this can be explosive. 1 big kill is 1,000 gold on Deftly, and the game can be broken apart. That Baron rush is still a possibility, but those are specific actions that must happen. CLG is just scaling.
Also, well, so there's another thing, too, with why I brought up the Ezreal build, and you know, tell me how you feel about this, but going with the Blade of the... Oh, never mind. We're starting up the Baron once again.
Okay, so we're going to go for the Baron rush right now, and you can see Olleh plus Froggen trying to zone out the team. And how far away is CLG? Just skill shots being thrown.
Gone.
Okay, Darshan's trying to come around, but they're going to knock him down, and he would have never stolen it anyway. Mountain Drake's not required. That's going to be the Baron regardless. They're going to keep maybe looking forward. Not going to find that kill just yet. But either way, a Lantern over the wall, a Baron picked up as PowerOfEvil's only split pushing in the side lane.
Yeah, PowerOfEvil might get that turret, but CLG, they gave up the Baron so quickly with the double mountains, committing to the split, having everybody else in base. They didn't have any threat to stop the Golden Guardians. Now they're headed right down mid lane with the Baron buff, definitely leading the charge.
And that's going to be a turret dropping down, and one that was answered a little bit earlier by PowerOfEvil, but it will be a single recall. Not stopped. Kennen will try to answer the Ryze in the side lane, who's going to push what he can. Should be getting the turret at least if he's willing to wait for 2 more auto attacks. He is indeed. Loses the Shroud real quick, but with Aftershock won't take any damage. He's feeling comfortable enough, but he's going to be surrounded pretty soon. You can have the rest of the squad come behind him if they want to do it. So far, they are not. They're hemmed into the mid lane.
I do believe that was 2 turrets taken during the time for PowerOfEvil. He took the secondary turret as well as that inhibitor turret. So at least they did get a decent amount out of the time they spent splitting here. It's all going to be about what can Golden Guardians do with this Baron buff now, because Cloud Drake is also spawning, and they want to get back out on the map very quickly.
Well, 2 power spikes coming in. One, of course, is his Baron buff, giving a bunch of stats to Golden Guardians. The other, though, is PowerOfEvil's split push, giving him death cap now. So he is incredibly strong right now. 300 CS, highest on his team. He's got a lot of gold. Maybe he can take over a fight. The front line a little tenuous for Golden Guardians. It's 0 magic resist on an Aatrox, and a Thresh who just doesn't have the stats and a full AP Kennen. So burning through the front line is a possibility here for CLG.
I do think this is correct for Golden Guardians, though. Trying to use their Baron buff in all 3 lanes, trying to create some pressure for themselves. Froggen on the LeBlanc in the top side. You can see he's almost up at the turret. Definitely in a little bit of danger, but he has the Thresh lane.
Oh, again, Moon. He tried, and it is possible. It is possible to stop the Lantern with the ult, to move him with the Cataclysm wall. A little late on the click, though, doesn't get him out. A nice attempt, but it won't be anything. An ult down, Golden Guardians get even more, and now a fight over inside their own bases. Hauntzer has to push down Darshan, and does about 12 damage.
Yeah, Hauntzer in the meanwhile taking a decent amount, but the push is still going for the Golden Guardians. They've got a minute left on this Baron. That is 2 more minion waves they can try and buff up at the turret, and the cannons are slowly chipping away, but Deftly hasn't gotten an auto on that turret, and that means no significant DPS.
Okay, 30 seconds lost. Next wave, and you can see Contractz running back to catch it. They will run fast with the Baron buff on. Only catches the melees, though, and not giving a whole lot of extra speed in the end of the day. And they go for the next round. And this one is Hauntzer now splitting off in the side lane, pushing the wave down as Darshan is regrouped.
Yeah, one of the difficult things here for Golden Guardians is that Kennen's wave is not close enough to the turret to make it there with Baron buff in time. Baron buff will expire, so CLG have been able to defend this.
They're going to try. They're going to try to knock down Contractz to flash the wall. Sion going to hit the wall himself, but at least they burn a summoner out for that play. Froggen going to get a lot of damage in this one. The cannon's buffed up as well, and GGS able to run right back over and collect this push. That turret's incredibly low. A nice shot comes through for Draven. They will have to wait for the day. He's slowed, but he has a lantern.
And during that give and take, Hauntzer was able to get up to the secondary turret here with Kennen. With the last couple seconds of Baron buff, they are able to get a secondary turret, and most of that mid lane one. Froggen!
One more auto attack knocks that one down. The fight in the front line, though, and Darshan is simply invincible. They're not going to get him yet, but Moon is around as well. Half HP now on the Sion. More damage for Contractz. Trying to burn him down with Stone Plate gone. He's pretty low. Now here comes a stun. They will find that kill onto Moon. Then Golden Guardians now 5v4 on the map. Baron buff not required. The inhibitor is gone.
Golden Guardians using the last of that Baron buff very effectively. They've been able to check off so many of these objectives, and they're not done yet with the extra kill onto Moon. They're even pushing one more cannon wave at the turret.
They're going to keep trying with the 5v4 without Moon to fight. They have the numbers advantage. The power play is there. This time they will choose to back up, and here comes round 2 for Sion. Nice spike Contractz to walk in and tank it, but he will lose the Guardian Angel. The replay now comes in, flaying only for 1. Deftly has to wait and catch the axe, find the second shot right there. Contractz gonna take a bit of damage, Froggen the same. The front line is tanky, and Moon spawns in 5 seconds. There's the damage from PowerOfEvil. A kill comes through, and CLG finally answer a kill.
Yeah, they're able to get the Guardian Angel off of Contractz, plus pick up 1 kill for themselves. But in the end, Golden Guardians also can pick up this Cloud Drake. And I think that so much was accomplished by opening up that mid inhibitor take. That is going to allow them to keep pressure on the map.
This is still looking very good for Golden Guardians. They have sat there with this very large lead. It's now 8,000 to their credit, and that is without Draven cashing in just yet. It'll grow by a good 15% when he does. And either way, they went for it. Sure, I expect them to cash in for Draven at some point, though either way, it is a good game where Golden Guardians took the laning phase lead and have so far played it forward quite nicely. Here comes the charge, and out goes Darshan, but 5 health.
All right,
what is it actually? We know you want to click it. 11. 11 health on that turret. 1 shot will do it in.
11 health on the turret, 30 seconds on the Baron. And this is Golden Guardians with even more pressure than they had the first time around. So all that Golden Guardians now have to do is clear out vision leading up to this Baron. And then they've got Thresh, they have LeBlanc, they lie in wait, waiting for the for CLG to step into their territory. But look at CLG, they're committing PowerOfEvil once again to the top side or bottom side split push. The Ryze is almost at the inhibitor by himself.
They're dedicated to the 4-1 right here, and a single auto will knock down the outer turret. That's certainly going to drop, going for the inhibitor now as well, and they're splitting up. Counter Logic Gaming inhibitor is down, and PowerOfEvil is running away. And if there's ever a misstep, we know LeBlanc is far, and we know Kennen's inside the map. They could collapse for a fight potentially. CLG still playing the mid game pretty well.
And they can sort of keep vision around Baron here. They still have the Scuttle Crab, and they have a lot of wards through the river. CLG buying a lot of time. This Ryze, so powerful, it's forcing GGS hand.
Okay, Counter Logic Gaming, will they take this 4-on-4? Contract's pretty low though from Baron. Here comes the front line as well, big damage, but Sion is pretty invincible. Has to actually ult away, not sure he had to, but he chose to, and the turret is dead in that bottom lane as well. PowerOfEvil split push, the 1-4 is certainly working now.
PowerOfEvil, level 18 on Ryze with the Banshee's Veil, not afraid at all of an AP Kennen build here, and CLG are able to get themselves a Nexus turret. Now, those aren't worth a lot of gold, but it is impactful to open up that area for a possible win condition of slipping someone in to destroy the Nexus.
You can slip 5 people in. You roam warp the whole squad on the Nexus and it will die. You can backdoor the whole thing. Yeah, I mean, it can be done. We've seen it earlier this week as well, the big backdoor plays for the Nexus kills. CLG have a win condition, and it's PowerOfEvil playing this game intelligently with all the gold he has. I think he's got to be hugely rich right now. He's only got an item slot left to go, and even now it's a stopwatch, so it does most what his own needs to do anyway. Darshan going to find himself the target of attention, but able to walk away on that.
All right, I think the Golden Guardians, yeah, they should return up to their point of power here. They're the ones with the double mountains. They're the ones that can get the advantage here through vision control and trying to set up picks. But consistently, PowerOfEvil on this Ryze, they need an answer. Kennen is not the answer. He has already failed the test here as far as the split push 1v1. Seems that GGS have no other possibility, though, except trying to burn through the Baron and force their hand again. They don't have a timing.
The Baron one more time, putting good damage down. True shot for us, spotted them, sign of the front line. They're committing now to what they've got to choose to do. Contractz still in the front line, Redemption's fly as well. Going for the fight now on the 4v4 as Kennen vs. Ryze in the bottom lane on top of this one. That could end the game by itself. Darshan outside the pit. The revive on a Contractz, and Olleh stuck inside the pit as well. Now going for movement, he's got the stopwatch, he's got the stone plate. He's buying a lot of time, and here comes the teleport. Going to end the game, and Kennen's gonna try his damnedest to knock down Darshan, but a big chance comes through. Draven finally catches it. Here comes LeBlanc. They've got Otto in as well, and he's gone. Darshan can't do enough damage. He will finally die. That Nexus will not fall, but the kills have gone to Golden Guardians.
But the Golden Guardians are now on the opposing Nexus turret freak. They're going for the end themselves. Inhibitor respawns. They have to take that down first.
But can they stop this TP? They do. LeBlanc on the teleport. It is over, and Golden Guardians retain control. They're on top of the club, and GGS are alone in 4th place.
And the Golden Guardians break free. The bottom 7 teams coming into this weekend were within 1 game of each other. Golden Guardians make it 2.
What a game. And it felt like every single player on Golden Guardians pitched in their own way. This wasn't like a 1v9 where Froggen drags the team over the finish line. It was every single player stepping up and what they needed to do. You had the TPs to defend. They eventually had 3 back there to stop those kills. The teleport back in and knock down the Nexus. We had Draven scaling up massively and was part of the reason CLG had to play more desperately.
Olleh's lanterns on Thresh consistently saving people. He landed several hooks as well. But I have to say for CLG, down 6.5 to 7,000 gold most of the game, but keeping it very competitive with the Ryze split push. Very, very threatening there as far as ending the game towards the end.
Now Golden Guardians up to 6 wins right now. They're in fact only a game and a half behind TSM. Over in 3rd place. So it is still getting to be a very close season. But now for more on that victory, Olleh is standing by with Deftly for more on that victory.
Thanks, Freak. Definitely take a deep breath because, oh my gosh, what an exciting ending to that game. It looked like PoE was going to break down your Nexus, but then you guys flipped it on them and took down theirs. So tell me about it, what it was like from your perspective.
Honestly, I think we played like the macro pretty bad that game. We didn't know how to like deal with the Ryze, but luckily towards the end we had like good teamwork and like we called the right people to go back and defend, and also like the right people to stay and end the game. So it was just really good on all 5 of us, but at the same time we're not really happy with that victory.
What do you think you would have improved? Just the macro?
Yeah, I don't think we adapted well during the game on like how to deal with a winning split push, and that's something we're gonna improve on and take into tomorrow's game.
Well, you and Olleh did look strong. You had an aggressive bot lane against Otto and Biofrost today. You had the Klepto Draven, you had the Thresh, and you were picking up those early kills. So has something switched between you and Olleh that's really upped your synergy?
Honestly, we've been talking a lot more, and we've just kind of expressed how we like deeply feel to each other, and like genuinely we want the best for both of each other. And like sometimes we have to like tell each other, you need to do this better or you need to do this better. And we're able to do that, and I think our performances recently have been a lot better.
And so tomorrow you play against Team Liquid and Doublelift. It's a game that I know that Olleh is probably excited for. But for you, I remember talking to you when you were on E United in the Challenger Series, and you said, oh, I've looked up to Doublelift for a while. I'm really excited to play against him. Do you still have that excitement, or has it changed into fear?
Definitely not fear. I think Doublelift's a really good player, but at the same time, I feel like I've made leaps and bounds in my own improvement over the past like year or so. So I'm really excited, and last time we played them this season, it was a pretty close game. So hopefully this time around, we can come out with a win.
Well, definitely thank you, and congratulations again. And for more on the game, let's hear from the State Farm Analyst Desk.
Thank you very much, Olleh. The victory almost slipped away from them there at the end. And Crumbs, as you've returned to the LCS, we had to prepare the most fiesta of Fiesta games for you, my friend. Let's take a look at that final fight or fights or split pushes or whatever you want to call it that was going on in this match.
Looks like home, right? Yeah, yes, I've missed this. Oh, boy. This is just a classic play where CLG is literally winning the game. You've got a split pusher that is trying to do everything 1v5, but CLG says, you know what? That's too easy. We need to add more people to this party, and instead of trying to focus on stopping supports, they try to take the fight and port themselves and lose the game.
Yeah, I mean, it was the kind of thing where multiple times CLG felt like they got over-eager and tried to force stuff more than they should. You had this unstoppable Sion who could just run in 1v4 and stop any Baron attempt, and then you have a winning split push. So just do that and let the winning split push go, but they teleport people in, it gets really scrappy. LeBlanc's able to find pickoffs because it's no longer a structured fight, and then the other team gets their chance.
Right, and I think on this point specifically, I think a lot of this falls on blame on PowerOfEvil. If you're winning the game by yourself, split pushing to victory, the only thing you need to say is, hey, stop the ports. Just buy some time, I will win the game. But someone on their team made the call, hey, can you guys TP to the Nexus? I'm ending. Whoever did that, you messed up this game.
Yeah, it will be a tough loss to stomach for the CLG squad because, again, with these roster moves coming in here in Week 7, they definitely want to try and ignite that fire that might allow them to make a run into playoff positioning. And this was not the only point in the game in which they struggled. Of course, there were other Baron attempts, and we saw maybe some of that miscommunication between certain members on the squad.
Right. Yeah. Well,
sorry.
First off,
somebody talk. Miscommunication here too. Hi, take it away.
Right, well, CLG did an engage here with Otto and Moon, which was actually really awkward and was really poorly played. GGS was having a lot of difficulty this game trying to figure out how to deal with the Ryze split push, because Kennen can't 1v1 Ryze and LeBlanc cannot 1v1 Ryze. So with their double Earth Drake, they had to just force objectives, and they had a level advantage on their jungler too. So when they did get their first Baron, they also misplayed the Baron usage. They didn't really get much out of it when they could have. So if G just played better with the early game with the Barons and the pressure, I don't think they would have gotten to the position where Ryze was ending the game.
Well, I think the Dragons were such a blessing for Golden Guardians. You have an early game comp, Mountains help you snowball, and it's very clear that CLG, all they need to do is just wait for the late game. You know that the Ryze is going to end up being a split push threat. The Ezreal is going to be strong enough, but it seems like maybe they didn't run through what their win conditions were going to be. Like, gotta keep your focus on winning and not in helping each other out. Like, legitimately, you need one goal, win the game. How do you do it?
And I think, Mark, that replay, in a sense, it illustrates the point around some of that, like that frenetic, well, we gotta do something energy, when in fact they had all the tools and did have that win condition right in front of them. The call being made for the Ryze ult, but then some indecision around who's actually taking it in, and poor Otto left out to dry in accidentally taking it in the Baron pit.
Yeah, it sounded, based off what we heard, that there was some people saying take it and some people saying not. So I don't just fault Otto for ending up in there.
I would question.
First of all, whoever said take it, what are you doing? That's the same late game call of TP.
Right. To be fair, stop the Baron. They did stop the Baron. They did put it on pause for that moment. For Golden Guardians, they pick up a really solid victory. Let's take a look at the team comp in which they did it with. I think it was already talked about. The bot lane for this Golden Guardian squad, it's a pair that we've been asking to step up. They get that all-important Thresh for Olleh, alongside a very lane-dominant Draven, and it pays dividends.
Yeah, and I think the question is, like, why is Golden Guardians going so hard for these early game drafts? Because they got their initial victories off of late game scaling comps, and then here again, they're taking a super early game comp, and this was not a clean win.
Well, they had a huge lead early game, right? They had a 5K gold lead early. Froggen was up a lot of CS, a lot of pressure, and dominated that lane phase. So it's not like they failed at this early game, right? They just need to learn how to transition their early game into late
I think
game.
part of it is that you have the Aatrox jungle, and it's kind of hard to get used to. How are you going to snowball with an Aatrox jungle? I think that the Lee Sin would have been really good, but CLG banned it because it gives you options of engaging. The Jarvan, the AD, early game jungler that helps you late game, but you stuck with the Aatrox. It's just such a bizarre pick, and we're going to take a look at the early game where he gets a little too close to the tower. It gives the first blood to the Draven. We're saying, how bad is it really early game? But if you're just eating hooks like this, then it's really bad.
I mean, we prescribed them. Dr. Ezreal and I clearly prescribed them a Thresh ban. They didn't listen, and their bot lane kind of gets torn apart for it. They did do an okay job of actually stemming the bleeding from there, but this was completely early game for Golden Guardians, like Hai was saying. And it's clear that they have the mechanical players to get these early game advantages. They just really, really struggle at turning them into leads. And without that double Mountain Drake or the over-aggressiveness by CLG, I don't know if Golden Guardians closes this game out.
They tower dive. The answer is tower dive a lot. You've got the Kennen jungle, you got the Aatrox with the passive, just tower dive bottom lane a million times and you can close out a game.
Well, they scraped through with the victory today. Tomorrow's game only tougher for them as they go up against Team Liquid, the #1 team in the league. We'll see how Golden Guardians fare there. Make sure you're logged into, watch.lolesports.com for the next match, a battle for first place between Cloud9 versus Team Liquid. Get that set up and meet us here after the break.
But he gets the first blood money. It's just a great hook by Olleh right past the cannon minion there. With no teleport cooldown.
Oh, Otto, the chain's gonna land. Good flash forward. They're gonna have it. Olleh sentences him to death.
Darshan, go for jump. You can only focus Thresh. Thresh no flash. Yeah. Hit flash. Keep it.
Nice. Darshan outside the pit. The revive on a Contractz, and Olleh stuck inside the pit as well. Going for movement. He's got the stopwatch. He's got the stone plate. He's buying a lot of time. And here comes the teleport. Going down the game. Can they stop this TP? They do. Oh my God! It is over. And Golden Guardians retain control. They're on top of the club.